Welcome to Saturday's Warrior, the channel where we talk all things BYU, Big 12. And tonight we are talking about a Big 12 matchup between BYU and Kansas. Kansas looking for a little bit of revenge for BYU, getting the shocking win and upset last year there in Lawrence, but they were disappointed. BYU got the better of Kansas again, and we saw quite the beatdown from BYU tonight. So we want to talk about that a little bit, react to it. Please, as you're watching, hop into the comments, or if you're watching this after, not watching this live, then please leave comments and give us your reaction, your thought to the game. What allowed BYU to have such a performance against a who's thought of as a good Kansas team, obviously a blue blood and a powerhouse, not having the year that they were hoping, but still very quality team. Anyway, so please do hop in the comments. Love to get your feedback. But as you notice, my backdrop is a little different. So we're doing this Tuesday night edition of Saturday's Night Live from my van. I am on vacation. Kids are asleep in the hotel room, so I had to go out to the car to record this. So, but this was a game that I think warranted it. I wanted to discuss the game, as I'm assuming many of you fans want to do. So please be sure to like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And we've been kind of spotty here and there. Things have been busy, but generally like to get on and do these post-game reactions after our games. And we've already got our first comment here from Roy Wall, who says, "Woof, KU is not a deep team. They look spent, zero energy. They just got run out of the building." Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I've kind of thought that all year, though, and I don't think it's a hot take to say that Kansas is kind of more of a pretender than a contender. They would, filling out your bracket. Obviously, we don't have the matchups yet. That is one that I think you could probably call an upset on relatively early. So yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not super impressed by this team, but what I do think is crazy, and granted, I haven't watched a lot of Kansas. I've watched parts of games, haven't watched full games, so I don't have a strong sense of who they are other than what we watched tonight. But the fact that they said this was the largest deficit that they'd had all season was, I think prior to this was, I want to say like low mid 20s, and BYU exceeded that by quite a bit. And again, what's the let me see here. Final score was 91-57. So definitely exceeded that tonight. KU not looking impressive at all. And Cougar hops in the comments too. Just a thumbs up. Yeah. This was I think well said. You don't really need to say much more than that. I want to go back to this Kansas thing though. It's a little less impressive because Utah just beat them, and it kind of takes away, I think, a little bit of the thunder. It's like, yeah, Utah's not that good, and they just beat this Kansas team. And as they were showing on the graphics in the game, they've lost their last, I think, was it 3 prior to this game, and now this game, road games to unranked teams. Now Baylor is a good team. K-State wasn't good, but then they went on quite a tear, beating some really good teams. Not so good in these last 2, but also in Utah. And they're not. I wonder if we're going to keep seeing the scheduling like this from the Big 12, where schools come and do 2 games in Utah, over the weekend into the early week, because I've several teams. I'm trying to think. Both Kansas schools this last weekend, but Cincy, and I'm wondering if anyone else, but they come here and they have a heck of a time getting out of the state with trying to get a win from either team. So I don't know. They were here over the weekend. They had some time to get a little bit acclimated to the when I say here, I mean in Utah. I'm not there, but acclimated to the altitude, but did not seem to help or make any difference. They just look completely outmatched in every way. And what's crazy is BYU was far from perfect. They had some offensive possessions where they forced it, and more so I'd say on the defensive end where I saw some struggles is there were some defensive lapses. They got some wide open shots. They just were not hitting anything. They meaning Kansas was just not able to hit anything. And so BYU uh, was the did benefit from Kansas just not being able to shoot the ball tonight. But uh, having said that, Kansas was just outmatched. I mean, BYU did play great defensively, and offensively, they were just all over the place. They were just out hustling Kansas. And I'm just curious, do you guys think that this was a little bit more of, was this scheme? Was it, I wouldn't say it's talent. Obviously, Kansas has a lot of talent, but maybe not quite the cohesive unit as much this year as maybe we've seen in past years. I don't know, but did BYU go in and were they able to out scheme Kansas, or was this just BYU came out, wanted it more, and Kansas wasn't, was low energy? Was something exposed with Kansas, and are we going to be able to, what will we see from them through the rest of the season? Will they be able to pull it together? Because the bad side of this is that, they are one of our ranked teams, expected to get a pretty decent seeding in March Madness. And when I say our, I mean the Big 12. And BYU just embarrassed them, which is going to, hurt their seeding, which hurts the conference. Obviously, Big 12 did not have the showing that we wanted last year. And now with the SEC on a tear, we really need the Big 12 to show up and show up big. So I do wonder how that affects them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I care first. Before Big 12, I care about BYU. And this was BYU showing that they're starting to click. I mean, we saw it against Kansas State, who was, as I already mentioned, on quite the run, beating some very good teams, including Kansas. And so, but BYU came out and won convincingly on both against Kansas and against Kansas State. And so something I hope is clicking. Let's hope that they can take what they found and what they're doing on the road against another very good team in Arizona. So yeah, but what a win. And I wanted to look at some of the stats here as we get going. Just another great performance from Richie Saunders with 22 points, but this did not feel like a Richie Saunders game in this, like some of the others, in the sense that we needed Richie to do everything. Like, obviously everybody was contributing in this game, but he just looked fantastic. I love the way I know that he shoots the three at a high clip, and that's a huge part of his game. He's a great passer, obviously with a few assists in this game, but just his hustle but his footwork and the way he can finish under the rim. He makes some crazy shots. And I mean, this has already been talked about a lot this year, but this was on my mind just as I watched the game. It's just, I mean, he has to be playing his way into the NBA, I would think, at least in, the end of the bench type role. I know he probably doesn't have quite the length or athleticism as maybe other guys, and especially for the type of position that he plays. But I think he just, with his hard work and his ethic and his hustle, and now his, we can see his ability to score both from distance and underneath the rim. That I don't know. I think people got to be taking a look at him. I don't think we're necessarily at risk of him going to the NBA this year, but I don't know. I don't know what scouts or other people are telling him in his ear. Hopefully, we get him back for a senior year. But man, he is just super. But yeah, Mwit Mag, I love it. I'm just going down here the stat sheet, and when he's having a good game offensively, because we know generally we're going to see the hustle on defense. I mean, that is a fun game to watch. And Keita, oh my goodness, only 2 blocks tonight, as opposed to, I think he ended with 5 against K-State. But man, 2 emphatic blocks, and just what hustle! I mean, watching him finish under the rim, and several of those were tough passes, and he caught them on the move and was able to get it and lay it in. and obviously some big dunks as well. So what a stud. He has been all over the place. Demon, um, yeah, I mean, he's still doing Demon stuff. I just want to see him keep attacking the rim. He is really trying to get that three back, and when he hits it, it is super exciting, but he is struggling. I just want to see him push the ball to the rim and then use that amazing passing skill to kick it out if the lane isn't there, which it often is with him. The way he's able to get that step and just take it in. So I want to see more of that. Trevin Nell, congratulations to him, getting over 1,000 points tonight, career points, and playing well. And again, I've said this all season. What I like about Trevin Nell's game this year, um, and maybe it has been like this and I just didn't notice, but I feel like he does more of, he's not just like a spot up three shooter. He is willing to drive to the hoop, sometimes get rebounds and put it back. He's doing different things, and he'll even drive and kick out. And so I like seeing that part of his game. And then let's go quickly through here. Max Triplet, yeah, he even logs a little bit of time. Good for him. It's a good game when we see Triplet in there. It's kind of like I grew up a Pistons fan, and so the 2004 Pistons, you knew it was they called them the Victory Cigar when they put in Darko. So let's see here. So it's kind of like that when we see Triplet. He's the Victory Cigar, but whatever the BYU version of that would be. Cannon Catchings, he I wish they had the minutes in here on this, but I don't know. If you see how many minutes he had, please let me know. I am curious because he was pretty quiet tonight, but he was in there. He got that rebound that he really went up for. And I mean, that's his only stat. So I guess he didn't get a lot. I don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, he's been in a little bit of a funk after it seemed like he was kind of on a roll. He's kind of progressing every game until he got to that perfect game. He's slowly kind of digressed, and it's been a little bit more absent, but that was a great rebound. It didn't just come to him. He went and grabbed that. And so let's see. Boscovich, I love his energy and his hustle and his love out there. That can't be right. There's no way he had 11 steals himself. He wasn't even in that many minutes. That is crazy. That stat's got to be wrong, right? Yeah, that doesn't add up right. Is that more like one steal, most likely? So anyway, but yeah, I love it. And his hustle, and he does different things, between the three, which we saw tonight. You see him, he'll go and do the Euro step and some other things, and just fun energy. And sometimes I'd like to see him get a few more minutes, but I know it's tough going around. Foose, man, I'm surprised that's only 7 points. He did get stuffed at the rim, but I thought it was a beautiful play there. It was later in the game. Uh, the rebound, and he just like quick to put it back up. I thought for sure that was going in, and so credit to whoever blocked him. But yeah, Foose was getting up there. He did dunk it tonight, so love to see that. They didn't, I guess, maybe because Foose is usually, you start going to him when you're trying to slow things down and do sets in the half court, and you give it to him just because you need to get a bucket. And BYU never really needed to get a bucket. The offense was just flowing. And so perhaps that's why we didn't see a little bit more from him on the offensive side. But Dallin Hall, oh man, everybody's waiting for at the top of in front of the 3-point line when he had the ball and they switched and he got Dickinson on him, and he was pulling up for that three. Everybody's side, because everybody was just waiting to go wild. I wish he had hit that shot. Just a little reminder of the shot that sealed the deal against Kansas last year. So that was fantastic, and I love that. I know he was thinking it as he was pulling up for that, and it probably distracted him a little bit, but still great showing from Dallin Hall, mostly in the second half. But he still sets people up even when he's not scoring, and he's one of those point guards you love to see, that he's happy to distribute the ball. Crawford, another one, good to see him in there and making a hustle play there at the end of the game with limited minutes. So love him putting his head down and taking to the hoop. And Trey Stewart, he was another one that he was so open. should have, almost hit that three, but I think they would have brought the house down. But Trey Stewart, I love everything he does, and his swag and everything. So I love that Boscovich and Trey Stewart are kind of these two guys that are limited in minutes, but he puts them in at key moments to spark the team, and seems to work. And then Dawson Baker, again, probably he's one that really go to when you need a bucket, and never really happened. He did take it in the hoop. I love it when he goes in there and the way he can turn his body and everything and get floaters up. But tonight he traveled on the second one. The one before, I think they called a foul, but kind of looked like he traveled on that one too. So don't know what was up there, but anyway, great showing from the team. And it was so much fun. Again, so any of you just joining us, or if you're watching the replay, please let me know what you think sparked this huge win from BYU. Is this just Kansas was just out of sorts? Did BYU figure something out, or are they just playing with energy? Or is the team finally clicking? Did Kevin Young finally it seems like he's got some pretty consistent lineups and minute distribution between certain guys now? Do you think he's unlocked something with these folks, with his team, to really, is this something that we're going to be able to see a little bit more of? Is there going to be some consistency, or is this just BYU kind of catching two teams that maybe K-State had run out of gas, and Kansas just, who knows, what was happening there? Although I think maybe they've been a little overrated all season, that name brand, which, when it goes to the Big 12, I'm happy that they can get a little extra boost, because that just helps the conference. And also BYU, we're going to face them at least once every year, that at least, they get a little extra boost in the rankings. That just makes BYU look that much better, win or lose. All right. Another comment here. We've got Talmadge Hokinson. Hopefully I got that right. Sorry, man. He says, boys did so well today. What do you think was up with Catching's minutes tonight, though? Yeah, that's what I was asking. I wanted to see just how many minutes. I wish this had him in there. I don't know what is happening with him. Is it something going on in practice, or is it something they say, hey, when you're out there, we want to see you do X, Y, Z, and if he's not doing it, he gets pulled? Because it just seems like he's just kind of, obviously not a lot of minutes, but just kind of they pull him quickly. And I really don't know, because I liked that rebound. The one stat that he logged, and the one time that I noticed him really out there was when he went up and just grabbed a rebound and just tore it down. And I really liked that. And it was on the offensive side of things, and really kept a possession alive for the team. And during a time when, BYU was rolling, but the game wasn't, it was still early on enough, and the game was far from being out of hand at that point. Teams come back from, being down by that much all the time in college ball. So, yeah, I really don't know. It's something I want to, I'm curious to know what other people think on that, on why his minutes have been so limited lately. Obviously, he hasn't been, putting up crazy numbers and getting a perfect game again, but still feel like he brings enough, especially when the team's rolling like that. You'd think you could put him back in, get some extra minutes, but so there must be something going on. I don't know if it's something in practice or behind the scenes, who knows, but I'd love to see him getting that time and getting those reps, because when he's got it figured out, he's got the tools to be a big impact player. But also, maybe he's just not fitting in with the lineups as well. They seem to have pretty good chemistry with how things are going. So I really don't know. That's a great question, and I'm pretty curious to find out. So, anyway, yeah, what a game. I'm kind of curious now, thinking ahead to Arizona this weekend, and what people think will, if what BYU's done the last couple games and what they figured out is going to be something that will translate going up against Arizona. I think one of the focus, and this came out with them, I don't remember where I saw it. I think it was Spencer Linton was sharing on Twitter the kind of some of the comments going on in the huddle and stuff, and Kevin Young just talking to his team about go to the rim. They can't stop us there. And so that really seemed to be a game plan for BYU against K-State to really focus on driving, which I think then helped open up, the three a little bit more, which if I remember right, we didn't shoot the three super great against K-State. But I wonder if that is just something that's rolled over that worked well with against Kansas as well, coincidentally, or if maybe it's unlocked something for BYU, really focus on getting to the rim before just kind of searching for the three a little bit more. So I don't know. It's a great question. And Talmadge comments again. He says, do you think that Yegor needs to score better for us to make a run in March? I still find myself worrying about his shot selection and scoring. Yeah, I don't know if BYU needs Demon to score more. I think there's plenty of scoring options, and that even if he has a quiet game, the next game he could turn around and have a huge impact offensively in terms of scoring. But what we need is just for what the types of shots that he's taking. I just want to see him put his head down and go to the rim, because more times than not, when he goes for it, he's able to get to the rim and score. And when he doesn't, he has the ability to pass out of it and find the open shooter or to get the ball moving. And that's when BYU is most effective at the three. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but when the ball's moving and catching it in the flow of the offense, when you make that extra pass to the guy, then we're hitting threes versus just, somebody, trying to look for their own shot or whatever. So I think that's how he needs to think offensively, but I think he's so determined to get his three back and to hit it. And when he does, it's super exciting, but it's not falling nearly often enough. So yeah, I'm with you, Talmadge. I do wonder or worry, I guess, about his some of his decision making. He does often force passes, but I guess that's what you didn't get. Sometimes you get the amazing pass, and sometimes you get kind of the forced pass or turnover there. I feel like I haven't seen him get as flustered as much. Maybe that's just based on the defenses that he's seen, where they cause him to turn it over as much. A lot of times they're unforced errors just by him just making a bad pass or trying to do maybe a little too much. But yeah, if he just puts his head down, goes to the rim, I'm happy. And yeah, maybe the occasional three when it's there and within the offense, but yeah, I don't think BYU needs him to score. Like, there's other guys that can score, just need him to make good decisions with the ball. Because if he's jacking up bad threes and it's not going, that's kind of like a turnover in some ways, because with the way he's shooting at this point, it's not one you expect to go in. So yeah, I got another comment here from Brad Buffton. Says, I don't understand what's up with the catching situation. If you want to be known for developing players for the NBA, catching needs the minutes. Maybe he's in the doghouse, but he played in the first. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I often think about that too. It's like, we want him to go to the NBA and be successful. We want him to get drafted because that helps the school, that helps show the program, and that Kevin Young, with what he's preaching to recruits, saying, hey, I know how to develop players to get them to the NBA. That would be great if in year one he could get 2 players developed and into the NBA. And yeah, with Catchings, if he's not playing, that's not going to happen. So I don't know, but also, if there's something going on, and as a coaching staff, it's their responsibility, I think, to follow through. If they said, hey, if these things don't change, or if something's happened, or if there's discipline, or if it's just, hey, we didn't like your effort or whatever it is, I feel like there's a reason that they're pulling them out, and they have to stick to that. So I'm going to assume that the coaching staff knows what they're doing, that they're not just deciding not to play him for no good reason. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what it is, and obviously there's something there, and I think I don't know. I don't know if we'll hear anything in particular, because if there are issues, the coaching staff won't want to throw him under the bus by letting that out. So it's one of those things we just may not know precisely what's going on, but all I hope is that they get it figured out and get him back on the court because, like I said, when it's clicking for him, he's looking really good, and when it's not, we end up seeing him get pulled, not seeing a lot of action from him. So, Brad, follow-up comment here says, "Can we get KY to give Stuart Baker's minutes? I don't think Dawson made one positive play all game." Oh, yeah, tonight. Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the travel, but then the time before that he took it to the paint looked like a travel, but they called a penalty or a foul on that play. So yeah, Trey Stewart. I mean, he's been a fan favorite for a long time. He's just seems like a great dude, and he just his hustle and his energy. He did look outmatched earlier in the season, oftentimes when they put him on the court, but so did Dawson Baker at moments, and Baker doesn't bring. I mean, they usually get put in for different reasons. Trey, obviously, for the defensive side, but he can hit a three. Dawson Baker seems like more of a liability on defense, and occasionally when he can get heated up. Because to say, yeah, he didn't have a great game tonight, that's true. They didn't necessarily need him the same way they do on other nights, because sometimes they've needed a spark off the bench, and he's brought it. And that's just one thing, though. I think that this coaching staff, and maybe this comes from kind of the NBA mindset, but they find the types of minutes um, and lineups that they really like, and they want to stick to it. And it seems like they don't really sway from that too much. Like if you go from game to game and look at minutes distribution, it's pretty much the same. And I'm guessing more or less they come in around the same minutes in each game. And I think they like that consistency that brings the team, knowing who they're playing with, when they're going in, and you get those beats down. I don't know. I haven't heard Kevin Young say that. Maybe he has, but I know that's kind of a thing. So I think he brings that. That's my guess, and he wants to stay to that as much as possible. But what I would like to see a little bit more is, yeah, if somebody's down, uh, and not playing as well. I mean, obviously you don't want to pull them and make them lose confidence, but also if somebody else can bring a little bit more, maybe make those switches and put in a Trey Stewart and see a little bit more. Um, gets a hustle guy and energy guy in there. It's like when was it? Was it against Cincy that he put in Boscovich and Trey Stewart, and they started making a difference. They were down by a lot, and then they made a good run, and maybe he left them in too long, but I feel like he made that switch a little too late to put those guys in to make a true impact. But finally, he was slow to do it, but finally got him in. So sometimes I'd like to see him um, change with that a little bit. But again, I think my guess is that KY, as you put it, wants to kind of keep those minutes consistent. But anyway, yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I'd love to hear his thoughts on that as well. All right, folks. If you missed the top of the video, I am recording from my van tonight. I am on vacation, so everyone's asleep in the hotel room. But I was too excited after watching this game, as I imagine a lot of other folks out there were, and so I wanted to get this Tuesday night edition of our Saturdays Night Live out to you anyway, and I appreciate the comments. I love the conversation. I do this. That's why I do this, is because I want to have the conversation and hear your thoughts. So appreciate all you joining me and those who commented. And if you're watching the replay, please do leave comments. I'd love to get in there and respond and get your thoughts. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Hopefully we'll get another one, probably less likely after the Arizona game, even if it is a win, because I'll be traveling that evening. So, but do like and subscribe. And we try to get these out after games as often as possible. It hasn't been as often as I like lately, but I think especially as we're nearing the end of the season. One last thing I didn't mention yet is this should put BYU. Where does this put BYU in the standings? We'll see if it's updated already. But for the Big 12 is, let's go to standings real quick. This should put BYU ahead of Kansas, obviously, because I think they were tied in the conference. And yeah, so although I wasn't BYU fifth anyway, so maybe sixth. So this puts BYU in great position in the conference. And what's great is all the teams right behind them. Well, I guess not anymore because TCU and Utah are on a tear, but these other teams that have been kind of middling, we split with Cincy, but we beat these other teams that were on their tail. TCU and Utah, those unfortunate losses right there, those could come back to bite us if we don't get a little farther ahead. But the great news, and I know I was just about to sign off, but I forgot I wanted to talk about all this, was BYU. They're everyone's saying to make it to March Madness, make it to the tournament, they really most likely have to split in conference. Right now, we're 9-6, and the rest of the schedule, even if you say, okay, at Arizona is a loss, at ASU, could go either way, and it's an away game, but team we beat pretty handedly early in the season, well, early in conference play, but at this point it could go. Oh, sorry, I'm not even sharing right here. But at this point, it could go. That was a while ago, so who knows how that'll go. West Virginia, yeah, we beat them at home. But that's a tough team, and felt like things didn't go their way in that game. They'll want revenge. At Iowa State's going to be a tough one, and Utah. I'd like to think BYU will be able to get revenge in that game, but I guess those rivalries, you never know. But if Utah is able to win 2 games this year when with the team they have, and I think the talent and team that BYU has, that would be extremely disappointing. So I have to think with BYU sitting at 9-6, they should, out of these last 5 games, be able to get at least one more, if not multiple. And so that should put them in really good position to end up March Madness. I wonder if Kansas, if this win and beat down over a ranked team, obviously you'd think Kansas will drop out of the top 25. I wonder if it's enough to get BYU into the top 25. I guess we'll know more after we see how they play against Arizona. And then we're talking about, BYU somehow able to go in there and win against Arizona. It could be, I don't really know. I would assume that they'd be ranked after that, but we'll worry about that after that happens. So we'll see then. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I am for real going to sign off this time. So please do like, subscribe, and as always, go Cougs.